Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Johnny, and today with me I have my buddy Adam. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Adam.
Adam's one of my buddies. How did we meet again, Adam?
We met a long time ago I think I met you in Vancouver, actually.
Yeah, we actually met in Canada. We used to both work for the same company, and we moved on from that. But where are you working at right now before we started this business?
I do outside sales for a company that will remain nameless, but I sell home improvement products like patio covers, kitchens, roofs.
Okay. But you make that sound glamorous, like you're selling that and you're making all the money for it.
It wasn't quite all of that. I mean, you're definitely working for somebody. It's the type of thing where any commission job, they're going to reel you in by saying, oh, you can like set your own paycheck, you get as much money as however hard you want to work. And to an extent it's true, but that extent is 90-hour weeks, and that's not the best for your psyche or your skin or anything, really.
All right, so besides the long work hours, I mean, when you say 90 hours a week, what was your work schedule actually like?
My work schedule was wake up at 7, but work schedule be at the office at 8:30 for the morning meeting.
Okay.
And then run appointments throughout the day. So someday you might always be working all day long. Someday you might get an early appointment and it doesn't go well, so you have like a couple hours downtime, whatever. But the latest I would get home is 2 a.m.
Wow.
So I'd have multiple days a week working from 8:30 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Wow.
That's a long time.
I used to have a sales job as well. Right out of college, I went to UC Irvine, four-year university, got my bachelor's. And I thought I scored a great job with a great company. It was a big American company, and I got to wear a suit and tie. Usually it was a white dress shirt from Costco, the Kirkland signature.
Nice.
And a tie. And I thought it was great, but I ended up realizing after a year that I'm in a cubicle. I'm working 40, 50 hours a week on this commission job, and some months you're not motivated. You just because you're working for someone else. I mean, when did you realize you stopped loving your job, or did you ever love it?
I think I loved it at first because the paychecks were really good, and I when I got the job I was pretty broke, and I had a wife. Well, I still have a wife. That hasn't changed.
Not after hearing this podcast.
So it's like I had bills to pay, had no way of paying it. So at first, even though I was working crazy hours, I kept like justifying it in my head. I would say stuff like, oh, well, it's only temporary. It's just for now. I need the money. And so at first, like I could justify it. And then it started not being as fun, but I felt like I couldn't really think it wasn't fun anymore because I was like, wait, I'm still making good money. What do I have to complain about? I didn't want to be ungrateful. So I sat down and I actually recorded my hours for a week. And I broke down like how much money I made. I think that week I made like $7,000 in a week.
Wow,
it's a lot of
good
money, but I broke it down, and the I'm not sure if this was the same week, but whatever week I broke it down for, I made less than $17 an hour.
Okay.
So it's like it was ridiculous considering like how much you were working.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're just at the end of the day you're trading time for money, and for me it was the same way. I was in the sales job. In the beginning, I was very motivated. I was excited, and I was making good money. But after a while, being in the same office, kind of doing the same thing every day, having to be on the schedule, at least for me, I felt like I just wanted to do the least amount possible and kind of skate by.
That's Johnny.
All right, but I guess we'll say that for another day. My friends used to nickname me Mr. Shortcut, and that's kind of the point of this podcast is figuring out a way where we can live the lifestyle we want. I don't know if you guys listen to this have read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, but big shout out to him. He's the one that really brought me to where I am today. So Adam and I haven't seen each other in quite a while before this trip. How long ago was that? Was Vancouver?
9 months.
Okay.
Maybe something like that. 9 months.
So a lot of change in those 9 months. I just got back from Thailand. We're actually sitting in his apartment here in Los Angeles. We just spent the whole day working on our e-commerce stores together, our websites together. And that's really what got us hanging out again. Was this system? Adam, you want to tell me a little bit about how? I mean, basically, why you decided to start this?
Let's see. I want to travel. I want to have a life. I was getting stuck in the rut of like making money, and it was crazy how I thought that it would like solve my problems and my stresses, but it added a lot to it because now I have like, I mean, you're working that much. Okay, now you have relationship problems because you're not home enough to take care of that. And now you have health problems because you're sleeping 6 hours a night or less, because I'm not a very good sleeper, and you're having like literal skin problems because you're working too much and you're stressing out.
So for those who can't see this video, because this is just audio, Adam used to work as a Abercrombie and Fitch model. So so those guys that stand topless wearing nothing but jeans in front of the mall. That was Adam.
More or less.
I mean, that was you, right?
Yeah. I did that at the Grove in Hollywood. If anybody's been there.
All right.
$8 an hour.
So, so what actually happened was Adam had messaged me online and he's been working on copywriting. Actually, how did you get into copywriting anyways? Did you read some books on it, take a course, or?
Let's see. I got into it because I've always loved writing, and I've done it like creatively. I've written like stories and music, and I would love to do that with my free time now that I'm, running an e-commerce store. But I thought, hey, I was still working like full time at my sales job, and I was like, I need a way out of this. Mm-hmm. What are my strengths? Writing. So I read a bunch. I was like, how can I actually make money now with writing? And it seemed like copywriting was one of the more popular and actual ways to do that. So that's why I started.
Okay. So Adam came to me just a few weeks ago and basically offered to help me promote the book I wrote, 12 Weeks in Thailand. It's been sitting on Amazon, and it's on the Kindle version is $9.99, so it's really cheap. And Adam basically came to me saying, hey, you have all your reviews are 5-star. Everybody loves this book. You can sell it for a lot more money. And he said to me, why aren't you selling it for more? And I told him, I said, to be honest, that's more of a passion project that I have on the side. Sure, it brings in some money, but it's really not my priority or my main source of income. If you asked me 6 months ago when I was living in Thailand on a budget and I was dead broke, I was literally in Thailand without a return ticket home, no source of income, and that was my source of income. So if you asked me 6 months ago, I would have been like, great, let's raise the price, let's do whatever we can. But this time, I mean, what did I tell you?
You told me it didn't really matter. You're like, dude, stop wasting your time. You're like, do something that works and like makes real money.
Yeah.
Because I had built a website too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so Adam had another an ebook which he was going to sell through affiliate programs, and I take a look at it and I helped him do some research to see how many people are searching for it on Google.
And keep in mind, this is 3 months after I spent 3 months writing it. So,
yeah, so I know it was a little bit hard for me to hear, but I said, hey, the honest truth is you're never going to be able to replace your income with this book. And I felt really bad because he just spent all this time writing this book. And I told him, I said, even mine, which is actually is a really good book that people want and people are buying. It's being an author really sucks. It's something that you should do for fun, just because
you like writing.
Because you like writing and because you love it. But don't do it for an income. And I told him at the end, I said, look, if you really want to make some money online, you really hate your job, check out this new thing I've been doing. It's called eCommerce.
And I think I started that day.
And not even that you just started that day. Within 3 days, you had a site literally like basically up and running.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I actually pulled an all-nighter. I went home that night, I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, I bought the program that you recommended. Yeah. And then I spent all day working on it, and then I spent literally all night working on it. I stayed up for I think like 48 hours, and then it was done. Yeah.
Was it pretty straightforward, or did it?
Well, I've never really had experience in web design or anything like that, and it's super basic. Like, you really don't need to know that much about web design to make a living from the internet. But I knew so little that I made a lot of mistakes, and that's probably why it took so long. Because I mean, we set up our second site together, and it took us 7 hours together.
Yeah, but that's kind of, combining our powers.
Yeah, sure.
But actually, well, one of the reasons why I decided to partner with you on this second store is because I saw how determined you are, how hardworking you are, for you getting your first site up without really much help at all. I mean, you did call me a lot, you bugged me a lot with it, but I actually really appreciated that because I knew that you were serious and you weren't just gonna sweep it under the rug. You're determined to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, basically, I think was it a week ago that we got back together?
Yeah, it was. Let's see. Today is what, Thursday? It was not last Monday, but the Monday before. So like a week and 4 days.
Okay. So about 11 days ago,
Yeah.
I sat down with Adam, and actually what had happened is Adam said to me, he said, Johnny, I really hate my job. I really want to quit, but I need to be able to replace my income before I can. And there was a little bit of desperation in your voice, because I remember you telling me over the phone, you said, Johnny, look, I know you're busy, but I'll pay you $500 to come and help me with the site.
Yeah.
And I felt, I didn't want to take your money, especially if you weren't making money from it. So I said, look, let me come over and let me figure out, what I can help you with. So I took a look at Adam's first niche, and I basically said, it looks like you did everything correct. The only thing you can really do is let it sit and let it go through the process and see what happens out of it. I said, if you're going to make money from this niche, it'll come. And if not, you know what? Take take it as a learning experience.
And I said, I hate learning experiences. I want money. But it's actually starting to work now, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you made your first sale a couple of days after we set it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then today, in my first week, I made like 6 sales. Like after my first sale, it just started coming.
Yeah, and I was the exact same way for my e-commerce store. I think for the first 2 months, it took me a lot longer than Adam actually, mainly because I had really no experience with building websites besides blogs and kind of real basic stuff. I had no experience with e-commerce at all, and I had all these problems, getting things set up, and I didn't really know. I didn't know what I was doing. But with Adam, he has patience, and he actually went through all the correct processes. He watched all the videos.
You didn't?
I kind of skipped through a lot of them. In retrospect, now I've actually watched all the videos over again, just to make sure I didn't skip anything. Yeah, but today you made your biggest sale so far, right?
Yeah, I did. It was let's see, I sold I was about to say what it was. I sold one of my products. I sold a $1,500 product, and then I guess like even with the shipping and the money that Shopify takes out,
yeah.
I think the profit ended up being right around $250 or $300 for today.
Yeah, and that's a great profit, but a lot of people don't realize is, making $20 or $250 a day at your normal job doesn't sound like a lot of money, and it's not, because after
you're working
8 hours for that. The government takes a quarter of it, a third of it in taxes, and you can only work
so many hours
and so many days a week. The great thing about an online store, once you have it set up, is if you're making $200 a day, let's do the math for everyone actually. If you're making, so he made $250 today, but let's say $200, and because it's set up to run
every day,
7 days a week, even on weekends, even when you're on vacation, even when you're sick, so it runs 30 days a week. 30 days a month. That's actually $6,000 in profit per month if you make one of those sales per day. And you're not always going to get the big sales a day. You might get a couple of small ones a day.
Yeah. Even calculate it out for $40.
Okay.
Even if you like $40 is super, super reasonable.
It's $40.
That's like low.
It's super easy to get per day for making sales. But
that's still $1,200. That's enough to like pay your rent.
Yeah, that's $1,200 a month in your pocket in cash.
That's like, even if you want to keep working your day job and have this on the side, you have like an extra $1,200 to spend. Yeah,
I usually recommend to guys not to quit your day jobs, to get everything set up and running, and have this as a kind of secondary income until it replaces it. Adam kind of did the opposite, where
I was in a car crash.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're okay now, but it was almost kind of good timing, I guess.
Yeah, I was in a car crash and I had to stay home from work. And I still can only work like 3 days a week. So I had all that time to get started and set up. But really, if you spend, I would say if you dedicate 2 hours every day to it, you could still have it up within 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, what I did in the beginning when I was setting up my first store is anytime I felt like I wanted to watch TV or do something kind of lazy, instead, I was like, let me just work on the site because it's actually kind of fun. It's basically like playing a video game.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're leveling up, you're collecting items.
Pretty much.
And now that it's up and running, it's, it's like there's a little game that we do play where we set up the Shopify app on our phones to notify us every time we make a sale.
Yeah.
And we just kind of go back and forth. And every time we get a sale, we hold up our phone. We're like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you just got started and you haven't made that many sales yet, but where's been the most random time or place that you've made a sale?
Let me think. Most random time or place. Oh, so I think Monday of this week, I was at my day job, my sales job, and we do a lot of driving. I was riding with my friend Josh, and I was in the passenger seat, and I was pretty much like, I had my computer on my lap. I was like working on files offline while we were driving, and we were having a really shit day. We weren't getting any sales. Everyone was kicking us out of their house, that sort of thing. And then I got like a notification on my phone. I was like, okay, I made a sale on my website, and I'm not even making a sale on my job today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually keep a little notepad on my iPhone with random places I've made a sale.
Okay, let's see it.
Some of my favorite ones is I like being woken up in the morning with a sale. And, it's usually... I set my phone so it doesn't disturb me until at least 8:30 because I don't like waking up early. But right when at 8:32 or something, I got a text saying, "Hey, you just made a sale," which is an awesome way to start your day. I've also got one while watching UFC fight, which is my favorite sport. It's in the middle of it. I'm cheering, screaming, and I see my phone. I'm like, yeah. The most random is probably at a strip club. Two of my buddies got married this month, which is why I'm in town. And while at one of the bachelor parties, there's beautiful girls dancing around, and I'm like, hold on, my phone's vibrating, and I look, and I'm like, and it just makes me so happy to get these sales at the most random places.
Dancing at a wedding?
Yeah. So at the wedding itself, I was dancing, put my phone down, and I came back. I'm like, oh, I'm in on a sale. So, these are just kind of some random things where it's working for you all the time. And that's what I really, really love about this is getting back to the lifestyle design is my goal is to be able to travel. I never traveled until very recently, until a few years ago. My whole life as a kid, we went on some family vacations, but never really left the country, never really went anywhere, never even went to New York, until a few years ago. And I grew up in California. It's not that hard of a flight. I mean, what about you, Adam? Did you travel a lot as a kid?
Yeah, I kind of did actually do a lot of traveling, but it was just like family stuff. So I've never, the only place where I've paid for myself to go was my wife's from Norway. So we flew to Norway last Christmas. But I mean, I can see myself traveling a lot now that I have the freedom of mobility. Like that's wealth, really. Like wealth is not having $1 million in your bank account. It's having enough money every day, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
To live the life that you want.
It's here's the thing is there's sometimes, you're working a lot and you have an excess of money. Sometimes you're not working and you have an excess of time. But very, very seldom do people have an excess of both money and time at the same time concurrently. And this really, it's always an excuse. If you ever ask a buddy, hey, let's go on vacation somewhere.
I don't have the time. I don't have the money.
I can't get off of work, even though I have the money. Or, I don't have a job, or I'm going to school. I have free time, but I don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And you never get both. But what I actually learned recently, which is even crazier, is there's a third component. And I was sitting at I think it was a Pete's Coffee in San Francisco, and it was a pretty full coffee shop. So this old man, who's probably, I think it was 70. I actually remember he was exactly 70. He sat down and shared a table with me, and we started chit-chatting. And he told me that he just retired this year, and now he has all this free time, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And I talked to him about his old job. He got a good pension. He had a good retirement fund. So he actually has a good amount of excess money, and now he has excess time. But what he's missing now is youth and vitality and health.
Yeah.
When you're 70, you're not going to want to travel the world and party. I mean, you might want to go. You might want to do certain things, but most likely you're not going to be able to do the things that you wish you could have done at your age right now.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm already 32. Adam's lucky; he's a lot younger, and I wish I would have started this 10 years ago. But at the same time, I'm happy I'm starting it now and not 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend to everyone out there that if you're holding off on something, I mean, you have to just take advantage of your life right now. One thing that we did today that's actually quite easy that everybody can do, but it's really, really powerful, is write down a to-do list. What did you think about that?
That was tight because we were at what was it, Panera Bread, and we were getting kind of lazy. Like, I got a sale, so we were like, all right, now let's work on our website together, because we run a couple different sites. One we're working on together, and we kept not even touching it. And then we're like, all right, let's do a to-do list. And we finally got some stuff done.
Yeah, well, whatever you write down gets done. And it sounds silly. Everyone's heard of it before. And I was the same way, where I would always just put it off, like, yeah, okay, I'll do a mental to-do list, or I'll write some stuff on my phone. But physically writing it down makes a huge difference.
And there's another thing to keep in mind as well. I've made to-do lists before, and there's a mistake that you can do when you're actually making one, which is adding too much to it. And like adding so much where you're trying to, like, you want to check off the boxes, like, okay, I got this done, but you're not actually being effective. You're just being efficient. You're just getting things done. So it's really important to only put things on if they're going to make a significant change in whatever project you're working on.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what I do is I actually separate my to-do list, which is more of a daily thing, where it's things I'm going to be doing today or within the next few days. And then I have a Dreamline list, or a 3-month, 6-month, 1-year goal list. And on those, I put kind of the bigger things. So I definitely recommend to everyone for that. Tim Ferriss talked about this in the 4-Hour Work Week. Dreamlining is basically figuring out what your ideal life would be and writing it down. And just the simple fact that you're writing it down, your chances of it happening are much, much greater. Me and Adam haven't talked about this offline, but what would your ideal life be? No matter, don't worry about, if it's immediately plausible or not. Like, what would your ideal life be right now?
I don't like being in one place, so I would love to, like, have somewhere where I could call home base, like an apartment in New York or like a nice house in LA, and then only see that house maybe like a couple months total out of the year, because I'd be traveling all the time. And while I'm traveling, I'd love to be playing music at like different venues. So having the money to be able to travel, and the free time to make that music and like put it out there long enough where I have like a reputation where I can play around like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And remember, these dreamlines change all the time. If you asked me 5 years ago what my ideal dreamline would be, it actually sounds a bit silly, but I wanted to be able to just hibernate and just not be bothered for 3 months, 4 months, even 5 months, and just sleep. Not have to have any responsibilities, not have anything to do. And I think that stemmed from all the years of school I went through.
Yeah, that sounds awful to me.
I know. Because I remember
it'd be so antisocial.
But like throughout high school, you're just waiting until you graduate so you can go to college. And then once you get to college, you're like, okay, you know what? Once I graduate college, it'll be great. And towards the end of college, people start talking about getting your master's or getting your MBA, and you realize, man, this is just a lie. This never, ever, ever ends.
Yeah.
And once you start working, you think you're going to be happy as well, and you're not. Most people, for the first year, you're excited, but after that, you realize, you know what, this sucks as well. And
yeah, it's true.
Like the other day, we met a guy at Panera Bread. It's our new favorite shop.
Oh my god! Oh.
And this guy had his MBA because only we know this because he was bragging to us about his MBA. But Adam, I'm gonna give you the mic. Tell everyone about this guy.
Okay, so he was like he was very soul-sucking. He had a problem. It was me, it was Johnny, and it was Jason. They're both Asian, so this dude's like sitting at the other table, has a problem with his computer. Of course, he asked the Asians, what's wrong with it? So he starts talking to us, and he's like, oh, you guys run businesses on your computer? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's really cool. And he starts like trying to work with it, like literally like start a business with us out of the blue. And, like, dude.
I mean, he literally, he basically said to it. Yeah, he basically said to us, oh, you know what? We should work together.
For no reason, even though you've never met me and I seem like a total schmuck.
Yeah, and he starts trying to qualifying to us. He's like,
oh, I know how to do this. I have a great team. Promise, like, just give me the chance.
Yeah, he's like, I have an MBA. I know Snoop Dogg.
Everything, dude.
And he's like, oh, give me your business card. Here's mine. He's like, oh, you make sure you email me. And finally, when we left, he was
literally, as we were leaving, he was like, oh, I might start an online business and email you.
And I was like, good luck. Good luck.
I was like, I'm sure you will.
Oh, man. I mean, that was the first time I felt like a hot chick. Like when guys come up to a girl and say, oh, yeah, I'll take you here. I know this person. I know that. I'll get you a part in that movie. And in your mind, you're just like, you know what? This guy's trying way too hard.
Yeah.
But I genuinely felt bad for him because...
Yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, it's not like insultingly, but like it feels like it's pathetic. And that's what makes you feel bad. It's like you feel sorry for that sort of mental state.
And I think what it was is I actually checked out his website. And he... it's a legitimate website, but it's one of those things. I think he does some kind of marketing consultant. He has his MBA, and I think he's just no longer relevant. Him and his industry.
Well, he can't even market himself to some guys at Panera, like.
And what it was is he offered us. He actually said to us, he said, "Hey, if you guys need an investment or some seed money, I can get it for you."
We're like, no.
And I said to him, I said, that's actually exactly the opposite of our business model. Our business model is to be able to get started and build a business with no capital, no loans, very, very little upfront costs. I mean, Adam, to start your first store online, how much did you spend out of pocket?
I spent less than $200. I've already made it back after it's been running for 2 weeks. So
yeah, and the thing is, I mean, imagine if you're to start let's say you're gonna start a retail business, all right? Yeah. Well, even just let's say you wanted to sell, I don't know,
cars.
Not cars. Let's say something easier. Let's say furniture, right? You want to sell desks, all right? And you wanted to start a store that sells furniture. What would you need, right? A lot of people first, they would need some kind of education for it. So a lot of people actually go to business school to learn how to start their own business. I mean,
$200,000.
Right, that's $200,000 and 2 years or 4 years of your life.
Yeah.
All right. And then you need to rent a retail location. What's that?
That's gonna be. I mean, I have no idea.
You got to
thousands a month.
Yeah, you got to furnish it. You got to buy cash registers. You got to sign up for electricity bills.
Hire employees.
Train them. Get all the stuff. Right. I mean, out of pocket. I mean, you're looking minimum $50,000, if not $500,000 to start a business
without stocking. I mean, that's not even considered stocking.
Yeah, and then you need first you need to get approved by the furniture company. So you would call them up, say, hey guys, I have the store now. I want to be able to carry your products. They'll say, okay, what would you like to buy? This in your catalog. You get everything wholesale, which is good. But now you have $100,000 worth of inventory sitting in your showroom, and when people come in, they're basically giving you some money back that you've already spent. Now the difference is, let's say you wanted to start that same furniture store online, and you're selling these tables, right? Like dining room tables or like a set. You start the website. I mean, you still need some kind of training. For us, I was very, very lucky that I met Anton. So for those who don't know, Anton runs a dropshipping eCommerce training system. And if I didn't meet him in person and I didn't just become friends with him before hearing about the course, I wouldn't have believed how easy it was, and I wouldn't have really believed it. But he's seriously one of the most genuine guys I've ever met. And after knowing him for years online, and then hanging out with him in Chiang Mai, and he saw how broke I was at my old job, which is basically as a writer, he offered to teach me a system. And it worked, and which is why I started my blog, johnnyfd.com, for those who haven't seen it yet. And because of that, a lot of my friends like Adam, my buddy Jason, my buddy Chris, they're all starting their online business now. And none of us had any training for this before. And the great thing about it was it didn't cost any of us more than a couple $100s to start up. There's definitely a lot of time commitment in the beginning. It's not, this magical thing overnight, but it's building a legitimate real business. And you do it for so little risk. I mean, let's say, that learning experience that Adam had, imagine if you had started a real business.
You're like, well, chalk it up to a life lesson.
Yeah.
And bankruptcy.
You're like, I can't do that. I can't just have that as a life lesson. But on this online store, the great thing is you lost literally $0. In fact, you made money.
Yeah.
So even if that niche that you first picked, doesn't become the hole in one, you'll always make money from it, and you've already made back more than you've invested.
Yeah. And I see it being profitable in the future, but even if it was a flop, like it'd actually be a profitable flop, like a small amount.
Well, I asked Anton before. I said, "Hey, do you recommend testing the new niches before you commit to it?" And his answer was actually kind of surprising, because easy ways to test is you can put up some of the ads for the products and not have actual checkout, like a checkout button, to see who would go check out. Or some people even sell it on eBay and see if anyone's interested in buying this. There's different ways to test. Most of it you could spend $100 to test it. But Anton actually, what he said was surprising. He said that he doesn't test any products. He just builds a store, starts selling it. And the reason for that is, he said some stores don't do very well. Some niches just don't sell well online. Maybe the item's too heavy, or it's too expensive, or too cheap, too personal, whatever it is. Some things just don't sell well online. But he said that even the crappy niches that don't do well still make some money. And because you can automate them, there's really no reason why you can't just leave it up and running and make a couple $100 a month from it. All right. So, getting back to starting the store, it's 2013 right now, and it's a complete game changer. I mean, Adam, could you imagine doing this before? I mean, what made you realize, hey, I can do this?
I knew it could be done, just because of things that I've read and my basic understanding of business. But like seeing you be able to do it, because I'm just kidding. Seeing you be able to do it like in front of me, it's like, okay, there's no excuse not to do it. I was already building websites, but I just was blind. And so once I had a framework to put all that effort into, I'm like, okay, now I can actually head in a direction that I know works, instead of trying to work so hard to find something that works.
Yeah. For me, for the past many, many years, I've had blogs, and I really enjoy writing. I think, I've always enjoyed writing, and I've always enjoyed creating blogs and sharing my experiences. But it was never a way to make money. Even with Johnny FD, the original URL was johnnyfd.blogspot.com. And my buddy Kurt, shout out to Kurt, he yelled at me. He was like, dude, why don't you buy the domain? And I said to him, why would I? It's just my personal blog. I'm not trying to make any money from it. And he's like, dude, but it looks so crappy and spammy. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. It's just my personal blog. Why should I spend money and make something look professional that is just 100% for me and my family and my friends on Facebook? And he finally said, look, see if it's available. If it is, just spend the $9 and buy it. I was like, all right, I bet you it's taken anyways. Well, I guess as luck would have it, it was available. So, and he made me buy it. But until this day, it's really just a way where I can connect with my friends and share information about everything in my life that's benefited me. From things like, finding proper nutrition through the paleo diet and bulletproof, from the right exercise programs like CrossFit or doing yoga, and then also to e-commerce and, how to travel, how to have, basically break the chains and enjoy the life you want. And there's so many people that, like Adam, who I reconnected with because of this new lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like I think that's one of the coolest parts, because I'm starting to realize like people are losing their passion for life like all around me. I went on a walk last night because I love being outside, and I walked past all these houses, and I would like see these couples sitting on opposite ends of the couch watching TV, and there's no connection. And I hate it, because people work so hard that's the only thing they can function well enough to do. It's like they come home, all they want to do is turn off their brain and watch TV. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. But the beautiful thing about running your own business when it's online is that you can have the free time to, instead of when you're done working, you're recharging. When you're done working, you're like excelling and going to the next level and trying to, achieve, like peak experiences in your life. Yeah. And when you surround yourself with people like that, your life just becomes awesome. Like everything you do is so much more fun.
Yeah. What's really awesome is surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, that want to live the same lifestyle as you, kind of do the same things as you, and have free time. The reason why I came down to Los Angeles for the second trip, even though I was pretty happy in San Francisco, was because all my friends in SF have 8 to 5 jobs, and nobody had time to hang out. In LA, luckily, nobody has a real job. So there's a lot of free time for everyone to get together. But now what we're doing is I'm trying to get all my friends to build their own businesses, own stores. And I'm actually partnering up with two guys to help them out with their stores as well. Is because, really, because it's fun. I mean, today we spent the day at Panera Bread. We went to Chipotle as well. It was quite nice. And, we worked on this business together. We worked on our own separate ones, and then we worked on one together. And it's fun. I actually enjoy it. Versus, if you had a normal job, like you wouldn't even, maybe you could talk to each other online, but that's really it. My goal is to have all of my friends have location independent income and be able to just travel. I mean, I would really, really like all my friends to be able to come visit me in Thailand, all hang out together, be able to take a trip out to Hawaii or out to Europe or out to South America and all get together. So that is my goal. And somebody actually joked the other day, was it you or Jason, that I was building an army?
I said that. I said it was like Fight Club.
And we're like literally building an army of entrepreneurs.
It's awesome.
So, right here in your earbuds, you're joined by, other people who are wanting to do the same path as you. And right now, it's not too late. It's really just getting started. I mean, how many people out listen to this buy stuff online? Really everybody that we know. But the market's still really untapped because there's so many things that people don't buy online yet that they will start doing. Like what are some things random things you bought online? I mean, for me, like my buddy just bought a new house and he's completely furnishing it. I mean, he bought a lawnmower online, and which I never would have thought of, but I mean, you could totally sell that.
Yeah, you can.
One of the biggest hangups people have is actually picking the niche. Did you have a lot of trouble with that?
I did, because I know that it's like if you pick something bad to start with, that's your foundation. Like you can make mistakes building a business, but you can't pick the wrong niche or you're just done. So I ended up making a list of like 40 and picking what I thought was best.
What we should do is we should have another episode where we just sit down and talk about how to pick your niche, how to brainstorm, how to figure out which ones are good and which ones are bad. Yeah, because I think that would be really interest people. But as far as today, we're kind of, this is getting a little bit long, so we're gonna hang up and play some video games.
And then go to yoga.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do some hot yoga next to the porn star studio at Vivid Entertainment, right?
That's the one.
All right, so we'll see how that goes. But everyone, thanks for joining us. And if you want to know more about how I got started, please visit my blog. It's johnnyfd.com. That's JOHNNYFD.com. And on the right hand side, there's actually a link that says start here, and that's what I give out to my friends and my family, and it goes through all the whole process. If you're interested in the dropship course that Anton has made, it's on there, and also all the information on Shopify, and you even get $75 in free advertising credit through Amazon for you to start your own store. So take care, peace out, Adam.
Later, guys. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
All right, bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.